What happens when doctors find alcohol crystals growing inside a human spine? When a major studio creates a special team just to manage one star's drinking? When Hollywood legends start hiding liquor and baby food in thermos bottles labeled as juice? These aren't just stories about celebrities who drank too much. These are medical nightmares that Hollywood buried for decades. One star's autopsy revealed damage so severe, doctors couldn't believe he'd lived that long. The stories we're about to tell you were buried by studios for years, but the truth always comes out eventually. Richard Burton was one of the greatest actors of his time. But behind all the fame and talent was a man slowly drinking himself to death. He began drinking alcohol when he was just 11 years old. By the time he turned 12, he was already drinking regularly, just like his father, who was known to drink 12 pints a day. His worst, Burton was drinking up to 3 bottles of vodka a day, and that was often just the start. He added whiskey, cognac, or whatever else was available. He once claimed he could drink half a gallon of cognac or a fifth of whiskey during a stage performance and still deliver his lines without slipping. During his time at Oxford, he famously drank a yard of beer in 10 seconds flat, treating it like a party trick. But the real horror wasn't in the bragging. It was inside his body. Just 3 years before his death, doctors discovered that his spine was coated in crystallized alcohol. That meant his body had absorbed so much alcohol over the years that it had literally started to preserve itself from the inside. No actor's reputation for drinking was more gruesomely proven by science. His behavior on set often turned into a disaster. During the 1974 shoot of The Klansman, he was so drunk he couldn't stand upright, so they had to film his scenes sitting or lying down. In Mexico, while filming The Night of the Iguana, he suddenly jumped into the ocean to chase a shark. Except there was no shark. It was all in his imagination, warped by alcohol. His work began to suffer badly. While shooting The Spy Who came in from the cold, he had to drink a glass of whiskey in one scene. Took 47 takes. The crew suspected he was messing up on purpose just to drink more. And by 1974, when he was 49 years old, his liver was already badly damaged. Burton kept a diary during these years, and his entries are painful to read. In October 1975, right after he remarried Elizabeth Taylor, he wrote that he got shamefully sloshed on their wedding night. The next entries were full of regret and loss of control. Drank enormously and cheated when he wasn't looking, and later can't control my hand, so cannot write anymore. Very silly booze. The words show a man who knew what he was doing to himself but couldn't stop. His drinking wasn't just about habit or party culture. It came from somewhere darker. Burton struggled with deep depression and had frequent suicidal thoughts. He once said his dreams were always stuck in November and it's raining and it's 3 o'clock in the morning. After his brother I died in 1972, he drank even more. Like he didn't care whether he lived or died. In 1981, he tried to sober up. He said alcoholism was worse than cancer, but the damage had already been done. On August 5, 1984, at age 58, he died of a cerebral hemorrhage in Switzerland. Doctors made it clear years of heavy drinking had destroyed his brain and his body. His death wasn't sudden. It was slow. It was painful, and it was entirely preventable. John Barrymore was once called the Great Profile because of his striking looks and powerful screen presence. But behind the fame was a life that quickly spiraled out of control. His battle with alcohol began alarmingly early. He was just 14 when he was expelled from Georgetown for drinking. 15, things got worse. His grandmother, whom he deeply loved, passed away. Around the same time, he got involved in a traumatic affair with his father's young wife. The pain from that chapter never left him. He told a doctor that he was already a chronic drunkard. His brother, Lionel, later said he never felt safe after that. As Barrymore's fame grew, so did the damage. By the 1930s, alcohol had eaten away at his memory. He couldn't remember lines. Sometimes he couldn't even remember which character he was playing. While filming Hat, Coat, and Glove in 1934, he forgot everything. Lines, scenes, even his character's name. RKO had no choice but to replace him with Ricardo Cortez. And it wasn't a one-time incident. These memory lapses became more common. He had to rely on cards and even chalkboards placed off camera to make it through scenes. His addiction reached terrifying lows. One night, his second wife, Blanche Ulrichs, caught him trying to drink her cologne. He was so desperate, anything with alcohol would do. At a christening, he picked up a baby and pretended to play rugby with it, horrifying everyone there. That's how unpredictable he had become. He was also losing money fast. He spent around $800 a day just for hospital treatments and rehab. By 1937, he was buried in debt. He owed $160,000 and filed for bankruptcy. Studios didn't want to take chances on him anymore. MGM gave him one more opportunity as Mauricio in Romeo and Juliet in 1936, but even then they kept him in a sanatorium during production. He still managed to sneak in alcohol and cause problems on set. His body began to reflect all the years of damage. Co-star Basil Wybone remembered how painful it was to watch him work. He said Barrymore was always drinking and completely unreliable. The once beautiful face that had earned him the title The Great profile became bloated and warped. The charm was gone. The legend had crumbled. On May 29, 1942, John Barrymore died at just 60 years old. The cause was cirrhosis of the liver and kidney failure. After decades of trying to fight off the addiction or simply giving into it, his body gave out.